any of these.
So I got my mum again. I think it's part 4, and it's Nairn as a Bairn, and I'm showing mum the website on the computer here, and we were talking about the cricket club, mum, and you're saying that those guys were probably around about the time that you come back at the war.
Just after the war, and that was when no, your father wasn't involved at that time.
No.
It was after he came.
You retired back in the 70s, didn't you?
Yeah.
And he took up helping out the cricket club.
That's right. And
Yeah.
I did the teas.
All right. You never played. I played for them.
Yeah.
I played in a snowstorm. They were really keen to make sure that the fixtures were fulfilled. I don't think many people have played cricket in a snowstorm, but I have, and it stopped. Yeah, so it looks like the cricket team was thriving at that time.
Oh, it was at that time. They were all fresh home from the war, you see, and not into any jobs or anything.
So there were. So there was quite
very strong. And Bert Innes, the Sinclair the baker, he was the captain for a long time.
He's probably in there somewhere, isn't he? So somebody might know who that is. Where was it? Where was his bakers?
Sinclair the baker's, the card shop next to the courthouse.
Oh, right. So that was a baker's. So there was,
and the bakehouse was at the back.
Right.
And George Mackay was the head baker, and he was also a cricketer.
So the cricket. Would Dad have been back at that time? No, you were somewhere else, weren't you?
He was in the forestry school at that time, just home from the war. Forestry school.
And when were you two married?
1947.
Right, so that would be about the same time as this.
Yeah.
Where was your wedding? I don't know that.
In the Victoria Hotel. The minister came. It was respectable. It was Jimmy Reid that had it at that time, and and Mary Reid, the daughter, she was at university, but I don't think she ever did anything after university. And the aunt lived with them. The three of them ran the hotel anyway.
Right. Yeah. Was that a big do, your wedding?
Yeah. Well.
It would have been, because there was how many in your family?
Yeah. And Ina Mackenzie played the piano.
Right.
And Jimmy Farker and Miss Farker were at it. I was Robbie's boss.
Oh yeah, of course. So everybody came to Nairn for the wedding then.
Yeah.
And so the cricket. So we'll talk about the cricket again. I don't think there's any. With the pavilion at that time, there's been 3 phases of the pavilion, hasn't there, in the cricket?
Well, the pavilion was there
one.
all during the war, but it was crumbling.
It
wasn't a good state.
Is that the old Victorian one that went, the first one?
No, that would have been the second one.
All right. And because the first one's in the Fishertown now, isn't it? It's in somebody's garden down in the Fishertown.
Oh, that's right. What's his name? I know.
It's just
people that have the news agent in their place.
So that's there. That's an old bit of history. I must go down and take a photo of that. That would be of interest. And the pavilion after that, was it replayed? So there's been 4. Has there been 4 pavilions?
Well, I don't. Only pavilion I know is the one that's
the green one
now.
No, well that came along in the 70s, isn't it? Because I know Dad was involved in raising some of the money for that, wasn't he?
No, he wasn't involved in that. It was well established, Robbie, by that time. It must have been just after the war when Bert Innes.
Yeah, no, there was a green one, and then there's a new one now, though, wasn't there? Because I remember changing in the old green one, and then I remember the new one that came along.
Oh, well, I don't know, because we would have been away.
Yeah.
Oh, no, couldn't have been.
Somebody might be able to throw some light on that as well. So the cricket was strong. I'm kind of interested in people coming back from the war, because you were involved in that as well, weren't you? You you were
Uncle Neil
posted.
played cricket at that time. He
Yeah.
wasn't married. He was before he went into the police.
Yeah.
He was a good cricketer, Neil.
Uh-huh.
Good badminton. Alec wasn't a cricketer, but he was played with the teachers in badminton, and they cleared the debts wherever they played.
Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting that would that have been a forces thing? Would people have got into cricket in the forces? Because it's not that strong anymore, is it?
There were people, Fort William, Fort George soldiers.
Yeah.
It was usually the officer types, private schools, and there was Bairn School. It was
of course,
a private school.
Yeah.
But a boy was drowned in the quarry at the golf course.
I've heard say
and
that.
Was the end. The Pearsons that ran it.
Yeah.
That was the end. They moved away to Edinburgh.
Yeah, and was that after the war or before the war?
After the war. I don't know who bought it before the McDonald's.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so that's one or two other things. Cricket is opened as a topic of conversation.
There was somebody from Nairn, Watson. He was a good cricketer, and there was Bert Innes, but Bert Innes was I think he was past playing by that time. He played during the war.
There's one or two of the boys, old boys that were playing with me when I came here in the 80s, and one of them, the wicket keeper, he had great big handlebar moustache, and he was he the headmaster at Old Nairn? Can you remember his name?
Who was the headmaster? Lobbin.
Lobbin, that's right.
And his brother.
Yeah.
Was Timus's friend. He went to Australia.
Yeah, so they might have been playing at that time as well, then, wouldn't they? They'd been young men at that time.
Yes, Lobbin was, and his brother, and Nias.
Yeah.
And
how's the team doing now? I'm always afraid to ask.
They've had quite a good season.
Cool.
But it's all incomers. I think there's some service people from Fort George, I think. I don't know.
But they're keeping it going, so that's good.
It's been good this year. But Ian Laidlaw's away now. He'd hardly. Don't think he was up at all now.
Well, Ian used to look after the grounds, didn't he?
No, it was Billy Mitchell's father, and then the guy that works for the electrician, what's his name?
Fraser?
No, Fraser's the owner.
Oh,
the guy that works, he was the greenkeeper as well.
Aye. Yeah.
Come back to me.
Well, thanks, Mum. So the cricket, that's that covered. If anybody's got any comments on that.
Two Henrys. One was a baker and one was a woodsman. They both played cricket. One was a killer, the oldest one.
A killer?
Yeah,
Great player, you mean?
Great player.
I was wondering. And, yeah.
And Spencer Ross played. And the third, Henry, but Bertie, but he wasn't as good as the two older ones. He was younger, of course. But Spencer Ross, don't think Alec played cricket, no, but Spence did.
Yeah. Right, so any comments on the cricket team we would be very interested in. Thanks very much, Mum. To be continued.